everyone, this is Peak Entertainment and we are back again, and we're now going to talk about football and the recent North London derby clash between Tottenham Hotspur and Arsenal. So as usual with these videos, I will be talking in depth about the match and the results. So if you haven't seen the match or you don't know the result yet, I advise you to stop watching now, go away, watch the highlights of the full version of the game and then come back to this video. And we go on to this match, and from an Arsenal perspective, just hugely disappointing again, following another loss to Tottenham, 2-0. And to be honest, it was really a classic Mourinho masterclass in terms of counter-attacking football. This is something we've just seen too often with Arsenal now, where they've had more attempts on goal, they've had more of the possession, and yet they've still ended up losing 2-0, and it's just very typical of Arsenal, and it's also very typical of Mourinho, the football, the style, the way he wants to play. Now, it may not be the most aesthetically pleasing to watch, and Tottenham fans over the years have been used to much more of an attacking style forward. We go way back to them days, if you remember, when they had 5 people up front, if you remember, long ago. But at the end of the day, supporters, fans, they want to win. Winning football is what is most important. No matter how you win, if you end the season top of the league or you win a couple of trophies and your team is progressing and you're an elite club challenging for all trophies, then the fans are satisfied. And right now, that's the place that Tottenham finds themselves in. And it is a bit distressing as an Arsenal fan to see the roles reversed so much. Tottenham at the moment stand top of the league and we are now 15th now, and if you go way back, and it is going way back 14-15 years back, when we of course had the Invincibles and we were winning doubles, we were the ones who were the top of the league, we were the ones who were challenging for top honours, and it was Tottenham who was struggling at the middle of the table. And it's quite surreal the way that things have turned around, and I'm not going to go into all details of the reasons behind it because that could be another 10 videos, but it's just very telling as to the position and the status of both clubs and where they are right now. But in terms of overall the match, you can argue that Arsenal performed quite well, particularly in the first half. They were controlling the ball. There wasn't too much in the way of attempts on goal. For a North London derby, it was quite subdued, if I'm being honest. Maybe, again, that's where we have the lack of crowds. There were people in the stadiums. We know that's been introduced now most recently, but yeah, maybe the atmosphere or the lack of atmosphere didn't help. But yeah, it was a rather plodding North London derby, for being honest. But Arsenal performed quite well. But when we go to the first goal, it was very typical throughout of Arsenal on the attack, throwing men forward, not making it count in the final third, and then Tottenham catching them on the break. And this is what happened for the first goal. The ball gets played into Kane, one touch, and he puts Song away on the wing. Song runs in. Defenders are backing off, which, you know, they don't close him down. Holding is backing away from him, giving him all the space. And then he curls it in from 20 yards. Now, for me, I blame Leno for this, because Leno, if you watch the passage of play, for some reason, Leno comes way out of his line. When Song is barely entering the Arsenal half, Leno is already coming out of his goal. And that's a sign of a keeper who's not really confident in terms of his defence. He's not secure in the fact that he feels that the defence can handle the situation. That's why he instinctively came out. Because he's come out, Song has seen the wide gap towards the right of the post, and that's what aimed him to curl it in. If Leno's stuck on his line and he keeps himself in his central position, then Song doesn't take this shot because he's probably thinking, I can't really beat him from this far away. But when you look at it, Leno gives him that gap. He gives away that space. So Son has seen it, and he casually stroked it in. He didn't really need to hit it with much power. He just needed to guide it in the corner because the gap was there. So I blame Leno for the first goal, just bad positioning. And then later on we go again, and Arsenal, again, decent on the ball, some attempts on goal, nothing too proficient, nothing too much in terms of momentum. We have to mention it again, and I know it's getting tedious to say it, but Aubameyang, again, just missing from this. And in previous matches, I've looked at it and said maybe it's the system, because we've recently played him solely up front on his own, because a lot of fans have been calling for that, for Aubameyang to be the more central striker. But if you think about it, This was a different formation where we had Lacazette dropping off, kind of being the person to pick up the ball. And really, with another person supporting him, it should really give Aubameyang more space. He should have more freedom, but he still cannot get involved in the game. And it's telling again that ever since he signed that contract extension, that extra increase in wages, he just hasn't been the same player. And it can't just be the formation now. This has gone on for too long. There's something wrong with his performance. And a lot of people have criticised Lacazette, and yes, the goal output hasn't been there, but at least Lacazette is working hard. And if you think about it, Lacazette is playing out of position, coming in deep and trying to pick up the ball. That is not the role of Lacazette. He doesn't have the ability or the faculties, if you like, to play that position. Lacazette is that typical goal poacher. He is that Ian Wright or that Jermaine Defoe. He is the person who plays up top, and then you give him the supply, you give him the crosses in, and he's there to finish it off. So it really is going against Lacazette in terms of his skill set to play him that deep in the pitch. So yeah, this is one of many reasons why Arsenal was so nullified when it came to finishing it off in the final third. And Saka didn't have a bad game, I suppose. Tierney was industrious, but again, did do nothing special. Bellerina's come in for a lot of flank, but I don't think he was really the culpable player here. He didn't really do much wrong in my eyes. He didn't do a lot right either, to be honest, but there wasn't really the big accusation you could throw at Bellerin for this. I just think it was a case again of just bad organisation, just lacking that midfield depth. And again, when we look at the second goal, this was even worse because again, Arsenal were throwing the team forward. They had a very promising position. I think it's Bellerin has picked up the ball and he's passed it badly to Aubameyang. He's played it behind him. Aubameyang's had to check his position. He's fallen back. Tottenham have just gone on the break. They've put it forward, and all of a sudden, we've gone from having an opportunity to score at one end to facing an attack where we've got 4 Tottenham attackers against 2 Arsenal defenders. And it's all over the place. And a lot of reason for this was the truly calamitous events where Thomas Partey was injured. He's gone to the touchline. Arteta was trying to, it looks, get another player in shape, but then he's quickly looked over and he saw Tottenham on the break. So he's essentially pushed Partey back on the pitch because he was alarmed at what was happening, and Partey has tried to run for a bit and then he's pulled up, and by then it's too late. Arsenal were just exposed. Great interplay by Tottenham, played it into Son. He's seen Kane running out on the left, just reverse pass, and Kane's just smashed it in, crashing it off the crossbar, and that's it, 2-0, game over. And as I said at the beginning of this video, it's very typical of the counter-attacking style that Mourinho has adopted throughout most clubs that he's been to, and 90% of the time he's enjoyed massive success, and it's the way he plays. But if you're solid at the back and your midfield helps protect the back four, then it's a lot difficult to be susceptible to those counter-attacks, and that's not what Arsenal were. Arsenal were just all over the place, no organisation, no cohesion, and when you look at that scenario with Partey, it's just really calamity. That's the best way you can describe it. Just disastrous and disorganised all over the place, and Arsenal never really got back into it. There was the odd shot here from Lacazette, and again, they had more of the play, but they didn't really do anything, and the match just petered out in the end. Arsenal were never really threatening at the end of this game, and Ceballos come on, he had a bit of impact, a bit of that creativity that many have stated Arsenal have lacked throughout, but I think it's more a defensive issue and a midfield issue. We all saw a couple of weeks ago when Tottenham played Chelsea, and yeah, okay, it was a bit of a stalemate, but that's because Chelsea was solid and they were very savvy to the fact that Mourinho wants to play on this counter-attack, so they patched their midfield and made sure that Mourinho couldn't catch them on the break and expose them, and that's what you have to play at. It's many ways where you have to go like for like in that terms of style. Now, if you have an amazing front three, like Liverpool, if you've got an amazing front three, then maybe you can attack Tottenham because you've got exceptional forwards who can create something out of nothing, and then that will then force Tottenham to come forward, and then that's when you can counter them as well, right? So that's what you need if you're going to play this style of play, and obviously Tottenham have in Harry Kane and Song two of the top players within the Premier League right now. I think Song is their best player, and if Song continues this way, I think he will probably win Footballer of the Year, because he is just at the top of his game right now. He's got pace, he's got skill, he's got balance, he's got great positional awareness of other players around him. He can pass very well, and he can finish superbly. He's almost, in many ways, got almost a complete package, and I think he's complementing well with Harry Kane. And I think if you look at Tottenham, it's a bit of a shame that Dele Alli has kind of fallen off the rails for a bit, because if you imagine if they had Dele Alli for a couple of seasons ago, then they would be even more amazing. And things are going well for Tottenham right now. They don't even need Gareth Bale. I mean, fans may be asking, why did they loan Gareth Bale? They're paying all that money and wages for him when they don't really need Gareth Bale right now. You know, everything's going well for them. So you do have to credit Tottenham begrudgingly, but you know, I'll just go back to Arsenal. It's just, I've said at the start, I never thought Arteta was the right man for the job. I just felt he didn't have the experience to address the many issues with Arsenal. When you want to take on a young manager like Arteta, it has to be at a club that everything is on the up and up. There's harmony between all the players, the board, the supporters. Everything is doing well, everything is going right. So for the first season, the young manager can essentially let the team run itself while he learns more about the job. And then the second and third season, that's when he can implement his own style. You do not introduce a younger manager when everything is all over the place, disastrous in terms of on the pitch and off the pitch as well, because the manager doesn't have the experience to counteract those issues. And that's what we're seeing with Arteta right now. Arsenal were always going to hit a bad run of form despite the FA Cup and Community Shield wins. They were always going to hit a run of losses, and that's when you need the experienced manager. And we're seeing that, well, to an extent, Everton, even though the bubble may have burst a bit at Everton right now, but certainly at Tottenham, Mourinho's come in and he's addressed the issues. He's implemented his own style of play, and because he's got the experience, he's able to achieve that turnaround a lot quicker than what Arteta is, and that's the problem. So we focus on the match again just quickly, and looking at the stats, Arsenal had something like 11 attempts on goal. There was one point where they had nearly 70% possession away from home. Now, in the good old days, if you had more possession and you had more attempts, you generally should win the match, right? That's almost common sense in terms of football. But it's just not working with Arsenal, and we really have to ask now, should Arteta be sacked? Now, I've always said he should be given a whole season, because otherwise, Arsenal just going to go into this state of sacking managers after barely a season, and that will just disrupt all continuity, and we will never be able to build a base or a foundation from there. But how much worse is it going to get? In many ways, Arsenal are lucky that the bottom three, I think is it Burnley, Fulham and Sheffield United, are so poor that they can endure this bad run of form, and they're not going to get dragged into the bottom three, because the bottom three clubs have barely got 5 points or 6 points between them. So Arsenal are quite lucky at the moment that the bottom three is as bad as it is, so they won't fall into that relegation zone. But I think I'm going to stick by and say right now at this stage there's no point in sacking Arteta, because it will just disrupt the continuity, and even you have an experienced manager right now, they will not be able to turn it around in a season. They would still need a year to 18 months before you would see signs of improvement. So I think you need to just keep Arteta in there right now, essentially write the league off, and maybe you can enjoy a good cup run, maybe a good success in Europa League, get to the end of the season, and then make the decision from there. I think that's the best tactic to go to right now. I don't think it helps everyone by sacking him right now. But just on the match itself, yeah, just very typical of Arsenal again, just not really making the most of opportunities, just impotent up front. And in terms of Tottenham's position, can they win the league? I'm still going to stick with Liverpool. I just think the fact that Liverpool are still near the top when they've had lots of injuries, they've lost their top defender in Van Dijk, I think now for the most of the season, and yet Liverpool is still up there. So they're not operating at full capacity within their squad, whereas Tottenham are operating at full capacity and they're still level with Liverpool. So I think Tottenham have got Liverpool in about 3 or 4 weeks, so that will really be the performance that tells us if they can go to Anfield and win convincingly that will tell us whether Tottenham are really ready to take on this league and challenge and win the Premiership. So we'll wait and see at that point. I would only say that the counter-attacking style of Mourinho will not always work. There will be a point when Kane and Son won't provide the finishes. The team won't be able to function fully and quickly on the break, and he'll need a plan B. He can't play this way all throughout the season and expect to win all the time. So that would be my only concern there. But back to Arsenal, just another disastrous result following the defeats already to Aston Villa at home and Leicester at home. And it's just, I don't know at the moment. I just don't know with Arsenal. We've got Burnley next and we should win that. But then I think shortly after that we've got Chelsea. So I think in terms of Arteta's position, if he can just make sure he doesn't endure any heavy loss to Burnley. I think a heavy loss to Burnley would really then raise the alarm bells as to whether the board may feel that he's not right for the job and sack him. But if he can win against Burnley and get a draw against Chelsea, then I think that would be just a way to just batten down the hatches so far and just build on for the next month or so, where he can dip into the transfer market in January and build some more players, because Arsenal badly need it. So those are my thoughts on the North London derby between Tottenham and Arsenal. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think Arteta should be sacked now, or do you think he should be given to the end of the season? Do you think it will just disrupt even more so the already messy continuity if we bring in a new manager now? Do you think Tottenham can win the league? How far do you think they can finish? We have had seasons like this with Tottenham when they've looked like they really are league contenders and then they've fallen away at the last hurdle. So I wouldn't get overly hyped up just yet, because there are very good, strong teams. Liverpool, as I've already mentioned, and Man United and City are both now starting to pick up and further themselves up in the league. And you've got Chelsea, who are very strong as well. So it's very interesting at the moment, and I think it's a lot better league this season as opposed to last when Liverpool are running away with it. So we'll see how that turns up in the future. But that's it for now. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I may do a further up video on Arsenal and the position of Arteta later on this week. But let me know what you think in the comments below. That's it for now. Take care of yourselves. Stay at safe distances. And I will see you very, very soon.